All right, we'll try it.
Okay.
Did I get it?
Did it?
Yeah, it looks like it's, I'm seeing a little record icon, so I think we're going to be good to go.
Very good. Go for it.
All right, let's do it. So good evening. Thanks for coming in, dialing into the Pathways Basecamp overview hosted by the Pathways support team. My name is Eric Garza. I'm the president of USA Toastmasters Club 181 and the G34 area director. Along with me, my faithful assistant, the effervescent Lorraine Boyden, is the Pathways support team chairperson. Lorraine, would you like to say hi to the crowd?
Hello to everyone. Are you getting more excited about Pathways now? I am. We have almost a year under our belt, and my goodness, it's getting better and better.
Yeah, so we're almost about a year in to the Pathways curriculum. It launched in February of 2018. And so we're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Pathways next month. It's pretty crazy. We've had some progress made throughout the district. It's a lot of folks we've got 3 path completions from what I understand. And a lot of folks are gaining traction all the way up through the levels. So it's great news. And the role of the Basecamp manager is critical to all of it. Because without the Basecamp manager knowing what they're supposed to do and helping our members along, it's really going to put a crimp in their progress as a learner. And that's one thing that we don't want to do, is introduce any kind of obstacles outside of what they're already experiencing, trying to do the duties of life and work and kids and Pathways on top of that. So we want to make their lives as easy as possible to facilitate the learning and development of their public speaking and leadership skills. So if anybody has any burning questions before we get started, I can take it now. Otherwise, I've got a good show planned for you. So I'm going to pause for a couple seconds. Anybody has anything? Okay, let's do this. So in today's curriculum, we have the following. We'll be reviewing just what is the Basecamp manager role all about. We'll talk about level completion request, the education recognition through Pathways, what is external training in the Pathways system, member progress, and then I have a few extras that I can share with you as well. And given the time and the crowd, we should have time to review everything. So if you're looking at the curriculum and you have some questions that you don't see falling into one of these categories, just make a note. You can ask me whenever. And if you have questions related to any one of these specific categories, we can pick it up during that section. As far as the overview, this is the easy stuff. This is the table stakes. A Basecamp manager, primary Basecamp manager for any given club is the Vice President of Education. Now, Toastmasters International allowed the president and secretary to serve as backups. And that's also to keep everybody honest. Should the Vice President of Education ever approve their own stuff? No. It's going to be approved by one of the backups. So if the president has something that needs to be approved in the Pathways system, the VPE can do it. If the VPE themselves are completing Pathways levels and they need to have people approve that, the president or the secretary can do it. So it's the same ethics and moral things apply, just like they did in the old manuals. You should never be approving your own stuff. So 1 primary and 2 backups when it comes to your Basecamp managers. What do they do? Well, here's a quick rundown of the basic roles or the basic duties of the Basecamp manager. We're talking about verifying projects and level completion, approving speeches outside of the home club, tracking member progress, and awarding educational achievements. I'm going to deep dive in each one of these. So when you log into Pathways, you're basically going to go the same way when you log in to view your individual curriculum. As a Basecamp manager, you're going to go down to where it's got that little red rectangle. And all Basecamp managers will now have these 2 login options, where you're logging in as an individual, as a member, as a learner, or as a Basecamp manager for the club you have selected right above. So you notice directly above login as a member, it says your home club. That's a screenshot from my Pathways Basecamp. So that's showing my home club is USA Toastmasters. Many of us are members of multiple clubs. If that's the case, that home club is going to turn into a drop-down where you can select what home club you want to participate in. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, and this is one thing we learned just through, I guess, OJT with Pathways, is if you have a member who's a member of multiple clubs and they're completing levels in their given path, the Basecamp manager of the home club they have selected will be the one who can view their level completion requests and whatever stuff they're submitting through Pathways. That was a big point of confusion because we had members submitting level completion requests, but Basecamp managers were unable to view it. So that's one thing that should be the first point of troubleshooting, is to see what home club did that member have selected at this screen. If it shows the other club, then the Basecamp manager of the club that's in question, they're not going to see it. The other guy will. So the member has to come in and change their home club to the one that matches the Basecamp manager they're trying to get to approve. And that comes in handy when you're trying to distribute your level completion for DCP amongst different clubs.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on that? Yes.
Yes.
I have a question, Veronica. So on,
Go ahead, Veronica.
as the home club, so if you belong to two clubs, and in one club you're going to complete the previous way of doing this, getting your DTM and everything, versus going the pathway process. So when this gets all set up, does your home club, are you setting up which club you want to be home club, or both clubs will automatically show up?
Both clubs will automatically be there. So even if you're participating in the traditional curriculum in one club and Pathways in another, because you're a member of both, they're both going to be on the screen.
Okay, so you still have to choose which would be your home club in Pathways.
Right. So if you want your Pathways credit to go to one particular club and not the other one that you're doing traditional, then make sure you select that club here. So when you submit your level completion, the Basecamp manager of your Pathways club will receive it and can approve it through theirs.
Okay, all right.
And,
Eric, this is Wafa.
Go ahead, Wafa.
Veronica, I'd just like to add that the path or paths are associated with the individual, not the clubs.
Right.
So in other words, say for instance, you move and you transfer from San Antonio to Austin and you join a different club, you keep your path with you and you can continue working in the same path and give credit to, whenever you complete your level, you can give credit to whichever club you choose. But it's really not associated with any club, your path. It's associated.
Okay, your path is associated with you personally.
Exactly, right.
Okay.
That's right.
So even if you change clubs, then you still, what happens in this, I guess, behind the scenes is that it just switches over to the new BPE so that the information, as you continue your path, BPE knows that new BPE will get that information.
Correct.
Okay.
Your path and all your progress will remain intact regardless if you change from 1, 2, 3, or 4 clubs. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So all that's going to stay the same.
Okay. All right.
and if you want your level to go to a specific club, then you log into that club when you are talking to the VP Ed, and then the VP Ed can access it and put it on the Club Central.
Okay.
Right. So that should be one point of troubleshooting. If somebody says, I submitted a request and you as the Basecamp manager don't see it, just make sure your home clubs are in sync between your site and their site.
Oh. Okay. I guess I'll learn how to do that.
It's just on this screen right here where it says your home club and mine says USA Toastmasters. There'll be a drop down there. And you just have to make sure that you have the same club selected as the member submitting their request.
Okay.
So if your home clubs are in sync, you can see what they submitted.
Okay. Got it.
We've seen that happen plenty of times. So it's one point of that. We wanted to make sure that was clear during this meeting.
Okay.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we click on Login as Basecamp Manager. We're going to see these 3 navigational buttons that are going to take us to different sections that are customized content for Basecamp managers only. Let's say if we look under the pending request, you're going to find these 2 things there: level completion request and external training request. And we'll go into these more in detail in a moment. On the member progress, you'll have 5 different reports available that were created by Toastmasters International based on all that lovely Pathways data in the background. So all the level completions and progress from everyone in the club who's registered and progressing in Pathways will appear on these 5 reports. and they are available only to Basecamp managers for that club. The manager tutorials, there's a lot of goodness here. So under the manager tutorial, when you click that one button, you're going to see these 6 options. And under these 6 options, they'll all expand to show that. There's a ton of information, a lot of training that's created by Toastmasters International for Basecamp managers. So we highly encourage you, when you have some time, just don't try to boil the ocean. Just pick one of the buttons and pick one of the training. Just go through it little by little to see the official word from Toastmasters International. There's some have videos, some have other types of resources, but this is where I learned pretty much everything about being a Basecamp manager. So lots of goodness for our Basecamp managers from Toastmasters International. All right. So one of the biggest duties of the Basecamp manager is level completion requests. So these are initiated by club members who are completing speeches in Pathways and have achieved a level, have achieved a point in their education where they're ready to progress from one level to the next. You are serving as sort of a gatekeeper to validate that, yes, they've completed their speeches, they've met the educational requirements. I, as VPE or Basecamp manager, approve them moving on to the next level. This is what it looks like on the member side. So the learner, in this example, is in motivational strategies. And if you look here, they've completed their icebreaker, which is project 1, eval and feedback, project 2, and researching and presenting, project 3. The bar right above that, the rectangle, shows 75% complete. That's 75% of level 1 complete for this particular member. Just to not be confused, the 15% off to the left is their curriculum progress completion. So out of their entire path, all of motivational strategies, all 5 levels, all projects, they're currently 15% complete with the whole thing. Any questions on this so far? Good. What's going to get them that extra 25% for level 1? It's this little guy down here. Level 1 completion. And all it is, it's not a project, it's not a speech, it's really just a submission saying, for the member saying, yes, I've completed projects 1, 2, and 3. I am submitting my request to a Basecamp manager for approval to move to level 2. To do that, they're going to click on Activate off to the right. They'll receive a pop-up, which we don't have a screenshot in this deck, but it's just an informational pop-up giving them a high-level overview of what's going to happen. They'll mark it as complete, and that's where the money happens right there. When they say I'm complete, they are done with their part of the deal, their bargain. Their part of the bargain is done, right? They've done their speeches, they've done their projects, they submitted their level completion request to Basecamp manager. So what happens next? When they do that, a notification email is going to be sent to the email address on file for the club. So this is the one under the Find the Club on Toastmasters.org. The email address listed there will receive an email from the Pathways system. It's an automated one. It'll be addressed to the Vice President of Education, and it'll say, so-and-so club member has submitted a level completion request. Please go to Pathways Basecamp to approve, et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't know what email is listed, make it a point to go out to your club's profile and double check that email address. Make sure it's good, make sure someone's monitoring it, because that's where those notifications are going to go. As an optional point, some clubs don't use free Toast hosts. My clubs, pretty much, well, 4 out of the 5 in San Antonio for USAA use the level completion checklist that I created. So if you have other ways of validating that a member completed certain speeches and projects, by all means, that's what you can use to validate that information. The completion checklist looks a little something like this. So in this case, in this example, we would see the member name, motivational strategies under the path, and then they can use this checklist to say, I completed my icebreaker on this date. I completed the first speech, second speech, and evaluation under project 2 on these dates. I completed my research and presenting speech on this date, and I submitted for level completion on this date. What we're having our clubs do is all our members are using this checklist to track their progress and to project out what they're going to do when, so they can use it as a roadmap. When they submit for level completion, we're asking them to not only do it through Pathways, but to email their Vice President of Education a soft copy of this form. Or if they choose to do a hard copy, they can bring it into the next meeting or meet offline or whatever. But this is what we're using to bump up against our meeting minutes to validate, did this member complete their icebreaker on this date? We check the meeting minutes. Yes, they did. Did they do the speeches? And that's how we're doing our validation of completion of this information, right? I mean, how that happens on your side is entirely up to you. It's up to your particular club on what processes you have in place, but it's not very much different than what we did with the manuals from before, right? When you had the CL in the back, you had all the fields for dates, and in the CC, you had the speech completion date. Whatever process you use to validate that those speeches were done on that date can be the same in Pathways. So this is just what we're doing. This form is available on the district website under the Pathways tab, and it's down under level completion checklist. So it's an editable PDF. It works fine soft copy, or you can print it out, and there's two sides to it. Any questions on level completion or the checklist?
Question. On this, you said that it was available on the TMD 55 website and what?
Mm-hmm. Under Pathways.
Pathways.
Just click the Pathways logo on the right, and that's going to show you our newly revised Pathways landing page. And just look for level completion checklist. It'll be right there as a PDF.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, let's move on. Oops. Oh my God, there we go. Okay, so what happens when you as the Basecamp manager then receive that notification that a member has submitted for level completion? You're gonna go back to your Basecamp, log in as a Basecamp manager. This is that screenshot that your Basecamp manager landing page. You're gonna click on pending requests button off to the left. When you click that one, you're gonna land here. And on this page, you'll see there's right off to the right, to that red circle. All it takes in Pathways to approve a level is clicking that green check mark and hitting submit. That's it. It's very easy. So systematically, it's very simple to approve someone's level. Most of the work done for level completion is just validation of speeches and dates, however your club wants to do that. But systematically, it's very simple. So here are a couple of notes that I wanted to make specifically with regard to this process. So approving the level doesn't submit the education award. That still has to be done through Leadership Central, Club Central, submit education. Those Pathways and that system don't talk to each other. So even if you approve a level, they're not going to get credit. They're not going to see that MS1 designation or DL1 designation. They will not see that until you submit it through Club Central. That's very important you do that. DCP will also not pick it up, which is another point on that second bullet, is to get your club's credit for completing levels, you've got to submit the award through Club Central. And this third bullet is more referring to the multiple clubs thing. This is the one where you want to make sure that you're in sync as Basecamp manager for that member. So let's say, and I've noticed this, some of the clubs, members of multiple clubs meet in almost like the same geographic location, just at different times. A lot of the clubs are the same members, similar members, they just meet different times. So if you need to have a conversation with your VPEs to say, yes, I completed level 1 for this club and I did level 2, but I want the credit to go to my other club, just have that conversation and make sure that the VPE of the second club knows that, oh, okay, he wants to get credit for our club. So those two need to be in sync so that the VPE of the second club can go in and submit for level completion and submit the award.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many paths can you work on in one club at the same time in the same Toastmaster year?
I haven't seen a limit because it's all by individual. You get the first path free. Each path is $20.
That's not the cost. It's what happens is if you cannot get credit for 2 paths working at the same time in the same calendar year.
Correct. So if you are doing multiple paths and you do level 1 in multiple paths, you might as well spread the love if you're in multiple clubs. There's only one club is going to get a maximum of 1 credit for that member. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Great point. Any other questions on level completion? All right, let's move on. So the education recognition is taking, it's got some cool benefits and pathways that were previously unavailable using the old manuals. And what we're going with this is Pathways now provides a template of sorts of a certificate for level completions that are customized with the member name and the path name. So they're giving you the design of the certificate ready to go. Basecamp managers can just need to know where to go to get it so they can print it, and you can award those at the next meeting or whatever educational progress or educational ceremonies that you do for recognition. Here's how to do it. When you're in Pathways, if you view training details down there in the lower right where the cursor is, there'll be a new little screen showing print certificate. So let's say in this example, Gary just completed a level. He completed a level 2 in motivational strategies, and we want to award him with a certificate at the next meeting. We're going to go down, we're going to open up Pathways, and we can search for Gary's name. Once he pulls up, we'll view his transcript, view the details of it, and this is where it's going to show. So it's like a little something like this. This one was just an example from Toastmasters International, but those certificates they're kind of nice. They're just a little something extra. It doesn't cost you anything other than a sheet of paper and some ink.
Eric, question. Are members able to print their own certificates?
Members can. It's up to the club. For USA Toastmasters, I have my VPE. When she's approving her level completions, part of our process is to validate the speeches against the meeting minutes, submit the level completion approval, and then get a certificate ready and get one of these out of inventory for that member. So when we see him at the next meeting, we'll know we have a little bit of educational recognition to do. Members can print their own if they want. So if theirs gets damaged or ruined, they can reprint another one on their own. Basecamp managers can reprint one for them. But it's really up to your club culture on how you handle that. So each of the 10 paths will have 4 levels, as you can see in the 2 blues, the red and the orange. Each of them will also have a proficiency ribbon shown in white off to the far right. So that one will change depending on whatever path you complete. So if you've got some members who are in level 4 and you're getting ready to start level 5, it may be a good practice to start ordering proficiency ribbons for their path. So you can have those already in inventory by the time they're ready. And when they finish it, you can award them their certificate and their ribbon, and there's no waiting. So those are nice. And from what I understand, Shannon's getting a little bit better with inventory, but level 1s are still a pretty hot item. 2s, 3s, and 4s aren't too bad, and proficiencies aren't too bad to get a hold of. Sorry, Waffle, you're cutting out on us.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Just FYI, for the first quarter of this Toastmaster year, July through September 30th, 73 members completed their level 1.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Bob. All right, any questions on recognition? Moving on.
One question.
Go ahead, Gary.
I don't even know who I'm assuming the Basecamp manager for my own home club is the VPE, but the VPE is out of pocket. So is it possible that I, as area director, can become a Basecamp manager for my home club or any other club?
Your Basecamp managers or your VPE is your primary, president and secretary of the club are your backup Basecamp managers. So those 3 folks can see this information.
Okay.
And
are you president or secretary of your club? Or?
No.
Yeah.
And Gary, even as a program quality director, I begged TI to give me access as a Basecamp manager so I can see what the Basecamp managers look at when they are performing their duties, and they are unable to do that. So you
Okay.
have to be either a president, VP of Ed, or secretary to be able
Mhm.
to have access as a base camp manager.
And
Okay,
this
I
is
will
why-
be an emotional cripple the rest of my life then.
Well, as an emotional cripple, to help other people in your clubs, have them come to this meeting to learn
Really?
base camp manager. And if they happen to be in one of those offices in the future, then they will be more educated as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Right. Cool. Thanks, Gary. So with the external training, what we're going to show you now is the official external training process for delivering a speech in a club other than your home club. Now, I know some of you, like I mentioned earlier, some of you are in clubs that are pretty tight-knit. They just meet in different times. So this is the official process. If you don't want to use this, you don't have to, but this is the official way to document that you delivered a speech in an external club and your base camp managers were not only aware of it, but they approved it and they approved the completion of that speech in the system itself. So this is the official blessed Toastmasters International way of approving external training. So let's say, I'll show you how to initiate it. As a learner, let's say I want to deliver a speech in another Toastmasters club. So it's not one I'm a member of, it's just one I was invited to, and I wanted to deliver a speech and get credit in Pathways for this speech. I'm going to go to my education transcript there. I'm going to click on the ellipses in the upper right corner, and that's going to open up a little drop down. And I want to click on the Add External Training. That's going to bring me to this form. So this form is the responsibility of the member to complete in its entirety. So here's just a quick snapshot of what it looks like on the top half. We're going to scroll to the bottom half, and everything here needs to be completed. So this is basically telling the Basecamp manager, me as a learner, I want to do this speech for this project on this date in this club at this time. Is it okay if I do this? And when I can attach, so if I'm on the agenda for another club, I can attach a screenshot of the agenda or a photo of the flyer or whatever it's going to be. It's just, you know, if it's something that you as a receiving Basecamp manager get, you're going to want as much information as possible to know if I give this member credit for delivering the speech in this external venue, does it match what Pathways required to complete that project? So that's why this information is all required from the member to give to you, the Basecamp manager, for approval.
Eric,
Yes.
are members able to present at another club or somewhere else prior to getting approval from their base camp manager?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the official way to do it,
Okay.
but it doesn't always have to be followed.
Okay.
So even if it was like an off-the-cuff thing, I was just visiting the club and I had this speech for my third project, second level, and you know, my back pocket, somebody dropped and I just decided to give my speech that time. You know if it's going to be acceptable or not, but this is the official way to get it blessed ahead of time. And you know, if you deliver it at that point, it's probably not a big deal. But yeah, this is, so if you do something for work, or if your members are doing stuff for work and you're not going to be there to see them deliver a speech to their team or in a town hall, this is the process that they can use to say, hey, Basecamp manager, I'm going to do this speech outside of my home club. Is it cool? And once you receive it, once you receive that completed form, you'll go to pending requests. You'll go to pending requests, and then you can give them the thumbs up that, yes, I reviewed where you're going. I reviewed what you're going to do and where you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. And then they do their speech, they get their evaluation, they submit again saying, okay, I delivered in that external venue, everything went great, here's a copy of my eval, here's a photo of me and some of the people that were there. This is me submitting proof that I did this speech in an external venue. And then the Basecamp manager just goes back to pending requests, gives them the check mark, and that's the official documentation of approval to do external and approval of having completed in an external venue. But don't have to use it. If it fits your club culture not to, then there's no reason to impose any additional restrictions or regulations on it. But this is, the Toastmasters International provided us that that way to cover your CYA, right? You covered it with the Basecamp manager, so there's no question that you delivering in an external venue was all in line with Pathways regulations.
Eric, can you back up 3 slides? There, thank you. No, back. Forward 1.
This one?
That one, yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Okay. So here we're going to show you some of those reports that are available from Toastmasters Internationals to all Basecamp managers. What are we doing on time? Okay. So there are 5 different flavors of reports available. We're going to look at the individual progress report. And there's a lot to play with in this section, so we're not going to cover it in too much detail. But just know that this is available for you, and it's chock full of a lot of good information that as Basecamp managers and VPE specifically, we should be aware of, because this shows you basically how your club's doing in the Pathways program. Big reminder is to always refresh to the latest information. So here, where we're pointing to is the, under options, you want to open that drop down, click refresh, and I believe in the bottom corner, let me say it one more time, right there, that little date and timestamp is going to change, showing the, so once you hit refresh, it'll change to the most current date and time that you hit that refresh button. So if you come in a week later, you might want to hit that refresh. Just get in the habit of refreshing every time you come to these reports, unless you're doing it like the same day. And this will show you the latest, greatest information. Now, let's say you want to take it with you. We do have an export function available on that same little drop down. You click View Details. This is going to show you an exploded view of the same graph we saw before, but all the underlying data behind it. And this information is exportable to Excel if you wanted to have a record of it somewhere, right? Because it's going to be refreshed every time somebody completes a level. So this is your way to capture that snapshot in time.
Eric,
Yes.
in this list, you will see all those people working on level 1. If they left level 1 and they're working on another level, they will go into a different slot other than that
Correct.
page.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So this screen right here, I just backed up a slide. This screen is scrollable. It's just a screenshot for purposes of this training, but it is scrollable. So you'll see level 1 in progress, and as you scroll down, you'll see level 2, 3, 4, and 5 in progress. And yeah, so I highly encourage you to play with these reports. It's all read-only data. There's nothing in here you can destroy. So feel free to click around, play with the buttons, export, and just get used to it. So this is how, it's nice. It's a good, clever way to keep track of your club's progress in Pathways with knowing that you cannot destroy anything here. All right, there you go. Can't destroy anything. And some of the bullets at the bottom. So we like to use the info to connect members on the same path. So when it comes to mentoring, if we have a new person signing up and we see they registered and they selected dynamic leadership, we can use these reports to put them in touch with, say, a dynamic leadership level 2, level 3 guy. If they want to start up the official mentor protege thing, we can also use these reports to connect those folks as well. There's a lot of other good applications of this data, where if you want to start up like a buddy system, somebody brand new to the club, maybe, so we have a lot of new employees at USAA. They come in, they don't know a lot of folks around, so they say, I'm signing up, I don't know anybody, what do I do? Whatever path they pick, we can find someone maybe in the same level, so they can start up a buddy system. It's like having a workout buddy, right? It keeps you accountable, keeps you motivated, keeps folks moving through the curriculum. And it's a good way to make friends and network and all that good stuff. All right, we're still doing great on time, so we do have time for the extra section of the training today. We're going to start with badges and feedback. So registered members can award digital badges and provide feedback through the Pathways system. This is really cool and unique, and it's not mandatory though. So keep that in mind. It's not mandatory. You don't have to do this stuff. But let's say we're going to look at the badges section first, right? So member delivered a speech. We thought it was awesome. We want to give them just a little bit of an attaboy, right? Doesn't have to be anything, you know, that you pay for. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. And that's where you can use this system. So if you click on My Badges from Basecamp, you'll end up on this screen. And if you're looking at your own profile, these are just some of the badges you've earned, right? A lot of these can be systematically awarded. So all of the level 1, 2, 3, 4, all that stuff is systematically awarded badges from the Pathway system. But see that innovative one down the lower left, I got the little brain and the gears in it. Those kind of badges can be awarded to your fellow club members. So this is confined to your club only. So whatever club you selected on Home Club will be the members that you can award badges to. And we'll see how that works. Let me show you. There we go. So let's say one of my club members, in this example, Matthew Angel, delivered a speech. I'm going to go to, in my pathways, I'm just going to type his name in the search field, and I'm going to click on feedback when I get to his profile. That's going to take me to this screen. So this is Matthew's public feedback, kind of a tree, right? It grows as more feedback is added to it. When you click on the badge icon on the right, that little guy right there, you're going to get a new screen. And here I can say, well, I think he delivered an awesome speech, and I'm going to give him an exceptional badge for that. So I'm going to pick the one in the middle. I can add some free text attaboys if I wanted, click post, and it's going to post to his little feedback tree. So anybody in the club who visits his profile will see that he's been awarded the badge by anyone else in the club.
So the badges can be awarded by anyone in the club?
Anyone in the club can do this part, yes. And here's one thing that we piloted a little bit, and it just depends how your club wants to handle these. But if you notice at the bottom, there's a PDF that I attached. So way down there, I think it says Matthew Angel Level 1 Research Presenting and a date. That's an actual soft copy PDF of his evaluation. And I think in his, you can tell it says it's just shared with Matthew and his manager, which is just Basecamp managers, not like his work manager or anything. So in this case, this is a private post to his tree. So instead of emailing back or doing a hard copy evaluation, I scanned a copy of his eval and I posted it privately to his feedback tree. So there he can now click on it and have a soft copy with him wherever he goes. He doesn't have to print it. He doesn't have to archive it. He doesn't need to store it anywhere else. He can leave it here. That's something we were trying out to see if it could work, and it's growing, but that's taking a little while. A lot of us are just used to that hard copy, writing on it and handing it to them when they're done. So there's the guy I was talking about right there. So if you wanted to do that, you can click on that little paperclip highlighted in the upper right. You'll be taken to this screen, and you can drag and drop the file, or you can select browse and find it on your desktop or wherever you saved it, add comments, and then post it. And that's what's going to show up on that tree. So the ePortfolio is a very cool function provided. It's a kind of a cloud storage option provided by Toastmasters International. The ePortfolio is a mini cloud storage available for everyone registered in Pathways. To see your ePortfolio is a little tricky. They didn't give you a direct link to it. The way I've been going to it is clicking on My Badges again. You're taken to this familiar screen. Instead of clicking feedback though, you're going to click on ePortfolio. Clicking on ePortfolio will take you to this little landing page where you can see the big Documents button. It's got a little document icon, 36 next to it, and I can go back to my badges from this landing page as well. So let's say I'm going to click on Documents. The ePortfolio is set up with 6 default folders, levels 1 through 5, and a My Documents folder. These are non-modifiable. You can't edit them. You can't change the name of them. You can't add folders. You can't delete folders. But they are provided by Toastmasters International for you. Let's say we go to my level 4. We click on that one, Inside this folder, I've stored a JPEG, which is a picture, an Excel spreadsheet, a PDF. I have a PowerPoint to one of my presentations, and I have a PDF of one of my evals in here. This is just to demonstrate that you can store all different kinds of file types in the ePortfolio. And it's really just for your records. This came in handy a couple of times when I was doing speeches in other clubs and my thumb drive didn't work, or you forget it, or your computer's dying. You can log in anywhere, right, on any computer, go into your profile, go to your ePortfolio, and your set of documents are right here. I haven't heard of any doc retention schedule, so I don't know how long they'll live there. It just shows you when they were uploaded and who they were uploaded by, but I have no idea how long they can live there before Toastmasters starts wiping data out. So, but I do encourage you to come up with a naming structure that could help, because everything's just grouped by level, right? But we have multiple projects, multiple speeches in any one level. So I use this naming convention, DL4, which is Dynamic Leadership Level 4, Project 1, and then whatever it is. Down at the bottom, you can see DL4, E1, that's your elective. So Dynamic Leadership Level 4, Elective 1, the name of the file, and then the date. So if you misname something or you want to rename it, there's no way to do that either. You got to delete the item, rename it on your computer, and then re-upload it. So it's not the most savviest thing compared to Google Docs or OneDrive, but it's still handy and it's free cloud storage. Any questions on the ePortfolio?
Yeah, Eric, I've got a question. On the ePortfolio, is this accessible to the Basecamp manager, or is this for the personal use of the speaker?
Personal use of the speaker.
Okay.
And these are all private to that particular person. So Basecamp managers cannot view the ePortfolio of any other members. You can only view your own stuff.
Okay, thank you.
And Gary, it's optional. It's really for you to keep records of your evaluation forms if you want to upload them, and also your speeches.
Toastmasters is giving a stronger emphasis to evaluations, which is really good. And this is one of the ways they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So good handy storage to have in your back pocket. If you even want to make it a part of your process whenever you're going to give a speech, to save a copy in your ePortfolio as a backup just in case. You never know, life happens. There's always tech issues wherever we go. This is one good extra spot to have your stuff just in case. And lastly, our contact info is on TMD55. We have all of our names, breakouts by division, and email addresses and photos are on there. There's tons of new resources that were just added. Lots of good learning.
To find the members who would be assisting you, scroll to the very bottom of the Pathways page.
Oh, I'll have to open that up. This one's just the screenshot in PowerPoint. One moment. And I saw Veronica had a question about the badge process meant to be used instead of paper. No. Yes, no, it depends. It's all about your club culture. So the badge process you can use as you see fit. Some clubs don't even use it. Some weren't aware of it. My club tries to use it when we remember to. It's entirely optional in whatever way you want to use it. So it's just a good extra thing that you can do that doesn't cost anything, which is always handy. There we go. All right, can everybody see the district webpage on there?
Yes.
Okay. So from the homepage, you can click on Pathways. This is our new learning experience landing page, recently updated. Got lots of good information broken out by before you start your path, what to consider, what you can consider in choosing your path, navigating the program. Here's some of the resources for Basecamp managers and officers. And scrolling down, we'll see, oops, there's some video snippets, pretty handy. Additional forms, FAQ, and our contact info is right here. I think we're still looking for a Division H PST representative, but any one of us in any other divisions can help if you're in there and you have a question or need something. Okay, I've got 51. Hunter, I see a question. You're the VP of your club and would like to make sure the club president and secretary also have access to Basecamp Manager. Is there anything I need to do, or do they have access by default? Yes, they have access by default. There is no additional provisions that you need to do. As long as their officer role is correct in the system, they will be granted access through Pathways. Thank you for that, Hunter. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Recommend that your president and secretary train also, so they know what to do and how to do it.
Yep. Okay. If there's nothing else, I think we're okay to adjourn. Unless you have any closing comments, Lorraine or Wafa?
Excellent training. Excellent training, Eric. Good job.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. It's very helpful, and I'd like to give you a shout out for everybody on the call, and Lorraine and Karen know this. Eric is our first member in the entire district to finish 5 levels in one path, right, Eric?
Dynamic leadership.
That's right. Dynamic leadership, yeah.
So have you started the second path?
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Yes.
I delivered
What level are you
a
on?
speech from level 2.
Okay,
I need one more speech for level 2 in motivational strategies.
great.
Well, Eric, I think you've done an exquisite job. I'm very glad to be your partner, and I think we can say goodbye.
Good
Awesome.
night to everyone.
Good
Thank you
night.
all.
Thanks for dialing in, everyone. Y'all have a great day. Let us know if you have any further questions. You're welcome.
Hey, Lorraine, can you
Yes.
please stay just briefly on the call?
I can.
Okay. Just looking at the schedule, I don't know if you had the chance, or maybe this is something you will discuss tomorrow during the call about scheduling future calls. I think when I looked earlier, it was through maybe the end of January or February, if I remember correctly. Is that something on your agenda for tomorrow?
We have, yes, it is. Mhm.
Okay, great.